Just wanted your guys' thoughts on the performance and then the scorecards. There was, I guess you could say, a little kind of all over the place. Just rate your performance. Going back, a lot of hugging going on in the fight.
Yeah, there was a lot of hugging, a lot of holding, and I don't think I anticipated that. I anticipated her moving and punching and moving. And in the clinch, we had pretty decent exchanges last fight in 2018, and I guess I assumed that would be more so what would happen, and she would just be looking for overhand rights and uppercuts from me. And instead, there was a lot of overhand rights from her and a lot of holding and the cards. I mean, I'm sure it's very difficult to score a fight like that, so I'm not surprised by the draw by the one judge. But we're happy to come out with the win. Any comments?
No, I was hoping we'd be able to finish strong and maybe get the stoppage, but Erica didn't quite cooperate with us. But we had to do what we had to do to get through the win. I'm glad we won. I'm sure Eddie's glad we won.
I thought the referee was terrible. Personally, I mean, how you can only take 1 point. I mean, they took a point from Jessica for maybe one shot behind the back of the head because Farias was holding so much. They took 1 point from Farias. How they never took another point? I mean, it was ridiculous. And actually, I have to be honest, it was a close fight because Jessica wasn't able to do anything. But you couldn't possibly give the fight to Farias. Come into fight like that. The first fight was one of the best women's fight I've seen, and that one was spoilt by someone who actually, after the first 2 rounds, she just wanted to survive. And I thought, it's never nice to criticise referees, but I thought he was really poor. I thought at least another point, maybe even disqualification, because it was so excessive, and he couldn't even realise that every time she was holding on the blind side. Like every time if he was over this side, she had you right, and it was like it took 10 seconds every clinch to get her off you. So I thought the refereeing was poor, and I think really she can't, with a performance like that, with all the holding. In my opinion, she doesn't deserve to take the belts, and it had to be an ugly win. So it did have to be an ugly win. It was ugly.
Eddie, the first time you worked with Team McCaskill was December 17, and it was a phenomenal fight, a great show between Jessica and Katie Taylor. That was at 135. Jessica obviously holds 2 belts at 140. Katie's moving up to fight for a belt at 140 here in a few weeks. What obligations does Katie have after that title fight, or could that unification come in a rematch at 140 pounds?
Well, I think there's loads of fights for both of them, basically. But when you look at Katie Taylor, you look at like Canelo, and that's like the similarities. So everybody wants to fight Katie Taylor because if you get that scalp, you've cracked it. You're the biggest star in the sport, and obviously it's a huge payday as well. So I think it's not just a case of Jessica looking at Katie Taylor. I think it's a case of Katie looking at Jessica because she's got 2 belts. And if Katie wants to stay at 140, she really has to fight Jessica McCaskill because that would be a 3-belt fight. And there's another belt, the IBF belt, which is supposed to be being competed for soon as well. So I think Katie's going to fight Linard too for the WBO. She may well rematch Person back at the Undisputed at 135, and she wants to fight Amanda Serrano as well. But all the discussions that I've had with her team, Jessica's name always comes up, and I think we'll be back here in February. And possibly, yeah, we'll see. And I think the only thing I'd say is I think it's very difficult for people like Jessica to fight in Chicago because there's a lot of pressure, not just because of the support, but all the running around. I watch her Instagram, and Rick's like just non-stop working, pushing the show. They both do such a great job for the city to promote boxing, in the community, that I just feel maybe I'm wrong, but Jessica will be able to. But I just think it's a big responsibility. Like, I went on Instagram this morning and they were up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what you were doing, having breakfast. I was thinking, what are you doing? Who does that? So I think that's something you've got to cope with because obviously she won the belts here and it was great. And I thought it was a great performance by her in Maryland. And we can't really tell if it was a poor performance or not tonight because she wasn't really able to do anything. She had to just gut it out and grind it out. But she does have to improve to beat, Serrano and Taylor and those people. She's capable of doing it because on her day she's tough. She's tougher than anyone. But I do feel like, it's a tough job sometimes boxing in your home city. Jessica? Is it? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean, we know the city. The team knows the city, and we've had a number of different things that, everybody knows us. So then it comes down to people contacting us. Can you do this for us? Of course. Then we reach out to our network, and we've had runners, about 4 or 5 people from our team running for the entire week, just trying to get tickets and get shorts and get different things done, help out other fighters. Everything, and we're more than willing to oblige just because that's the kind of people that we are. And so it is a lot more difficult to fight in your hometown, whereas when we went to Maryland, we were there a week early and we did all the press conferences and things that we were obligated to do, but then we also had our own downtime, and we don't have downtime when we're home in Chicago.
Eddie, with that said, obviously you took her over to the UK. We've had her here now twice in Maryland. You speak of the pressure. What do you think maybe would be a good fit, for her to fight next?
Listen, if we're back in Chicago, obviously she's from Chicago, so I'd probably like to see her fight for the IBF belt next. That's a fight coming up between you probably know better than me, Mary McGee and a lady from Argentina. And I think that would be amazing if Jessica could pick up 3 belts there. And, listen, Taylor's got a tough fight against Lenata. She's going to be game. So, but if Jessica could win that 3rd belt, then it would set up an undisputed fight with whoever has got it. I think it's an amazing story for Jessica. She flew over really unknown and took on Katie Taylor and probably outside of Pursoon, gave her the toughest fight of her career, unquestionably. So if she can pick up a 3rd belt, then someone has to fight her. I think it would be an amazing achievement if she could become undisputed champion.
With that, I'm assuming that she picks up the IBF and assuming that Katie comes out victorious in her fight at 140, Jessica would have 3 belts. That would make her the A-side versus Katie. What you're saying?
Oh, well, yeah. Something tells me about Jessica McCaskill. She's not really bothered what side she's on. She just wants. But she's got to a stage now where we know that this is a very dangerous sport. We've seen that tonight, and the aim for every fighter must be to make sure that you're financially secure, or you do well from the sport. And I know that Jessica's in it because she loves the sport, and but ultimately, women now are making big money for these big fights, and she hasn't yet had a big fight, like a big fight, and we want to see her in those big fights. And obviously if she picks up 3 belts, we talk about A-side, B-side, well, she will have 3 belts. So, she's got to make sure, I want to pay her as much money as possible. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. And, it's such a great time to be a woman boxer because, like, 3 or 4 years ago, the money they were earning for title fights was, and now you've really got chances to have big fights. And the great thing about women's boxing as well, look at how we're talking about, we're going to do the 3 belts, then we're going to do the 4 belts. You don't see that in men's boxing. It's so difficult. But, we got Katie Taylor went through the belt. She fought Pursoon for the undisputed. You got Clarissa Shields is undisputed champion. You've got Cecilia Brackhouse is undisputed champion. So it's really refreshing that actually they're prepared to fight whoever. And, the next job for Jessica, I think, is to try and pick up another belt in the division.
Where does Serrano fit into all of this? We saw her.
Well, she's got a contract to fight Katie Taylor, but every time she signs a contract to fight Katie Taylor, she starts saying, well, if the money's right, I'll fight Katie Taylor. It's a bit confusing, really. I know her and Lou DiBella are having backwards and forwards, but as far as I'm concerned, that's a really big fight. But Katie's got Leonard 2 on November the 2nd, and then, you've got... I think she'll fight Pursoon or Serrano next, and if Jessica can fight for that other belt in the meantime, that could set something up really big for the summer.
Is Katie obligated to that Pursoon rematch, or is she just trying to solidify?
No, I just think she's the type of person where some people thought Pursoon won, so that's in her head, and that's what I'm saying about the men and the women. Sometimes a little bit different where, I'm talking about money and this kind of stuff. They're not as money motivated as us greedy men, you know. But she's more like, there's some doubt whether I won that fight, so I must rematch her. And you don't often get that in the sport.
For Rick and for Jessica, I know it's difficult to fight like that, but is there anything that you think you could have done better? I know when someone doesn't want to engage at all, it's tough to judge, but what do you think she could have done better?
I mean, I think if we maybe use the jab, create some space, maybe walk her back when she held, put some stress on her body, and maybe she would give up. It didn't look like really Erica didn't want to be there. That's how I felt. I think she quit after the third round. I just didn't want. She was sneaky. She was trying to steal rounds from us. So, to answer your question, we'd probably be more active in the body. The referee was just, it was just like not even there. So there was a lot of issues. We were fighting the referee. We were fighting Erica, literally, and maybe not being keeping distance like we should have. But we got the win, so I'm grateful. So, we're moving on to the next thing. That chapter's done.
Rick, you spoke earlier on wanting to perhaps get the stoppage there towards the end. Just wanted, all of your thoughts. We've seen it in some women's fights, but do you think going to 3-minute rounds could possibly help create more stoppages and more knockouts in women's boxing?
I think it could, but I don't know if it's healthy for women in general. I think we maybe 2-minute, 12 rounds, we start there first, and then maybe look for 3-minute rounds down the road. But I think if we go to 12 rounds, that would be a good first step.
I think 2 minutes is very entertaining as well. To be honest, very entertaining.
And you guys talk about the pressure of fighting in Chicago and the pressure of fighting, but now that you went from being the hunter to being the hunted, what's that pressure like for you not being a two-time belt champion?
I don't feel any pressure as far as the opponents is concerned. It's just more so my obligations and trying to just work with the promotion companies or the other fighters that are here, and trying to make them feel at home as well. Maybe that's over the top, but that's just, like I said, the kind of people that we are. We open our gym to any of the fighters that come in from out of town.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but like we take every single interview. We get phone calls from Eddie's people like, hey, who can get this printed, who can get that, and we love to help. Not for us. We have zero interest. It's for Chicago. We want Eddie to come back. We want Usyk to come back. We want the big names to come back. Jesse Vargas, the big names, Triple G, hopefully. But so we want to help. I mean, you seen me in the offices last night.
I just want to say one thing. It's quite a funny story. Is that when we did the public workout, Chaz Witherspoon had a terrible pair of shorts on. So I said, we've got to make him a pair of shorts for the fight because I don't want him wearing those shorts. So Rick Ramos went out and got him a pair of shorts made, right? And came in the office this morning, or last night, really proud of himself. Look, it's a Witherspoon across the front, And we didn't realise that Chaz had a different pair of shorts already, and he didn't want to wear them anyway. So, but that just goes to show there's a classic example where, Rick's around all the time, and obviously he's on the ground here. He's getting a pair of shorts made for a heavyweight who's fighting on the card, and the worst thing is he didn't even wear them. So, thank you to Rick Ramos, because, like I said, these shows have opened up opportunities for Jessica and Summer and other fighters in the gym, and without the help from people like Rick and Jessica and helping promote the show, then we wouldn't be able to come here. So Chaz Witherspoon got beat tonight, but he does have an extra pair of shorts.
Eddie, the Zone USA match alongside match from the first show was here in Chicago in this very arena. Talk to us about the change. You talk about the help that Team McCaskill was able to bring, but last year, maybe half the arena was full, and here near sellout, phenomenal atmosphere. What do you think has changed, and what have you seen that encourages you and motivates you to come back to this beautiful city?
Well, I think everything. It's all about, one thing that I'm learning about the US is obviously you've got different groups of supporters for different fighters. So last time we did well, we had a Polish fighter, and then we had a huge Polish community turn up. I think you saw by the flags tonight there were several thousand Ukrainians in the house. Jessica's got her own fan base now in Chicago and Summer, and there's a great fight going on out there, by the way, where they're still going at it. They've sold 700 or 800 tickets between them. So it's all about different communities. I feel like the first show was really good and people wanted to return. Tonight was okay. I mean, a couple of fights didn't really catch fire like we thought it would, but that's boxing. But again, when you come back, if we came back, and don't forget, we brought the undisputed cruiserweight champion here tonight. So if we bring Triple G here in February, you're going to see it completely sold out, especially if he fights a Polish fighter, which is his mandatory. So I just think it's you're never guaranteed. Like, you can't just come back to Chicago. Like, if we didn't have Usyk tonight, we wouldn't have sold out. So you just got to be clever. We feel like we have a good community here, into like a fight community, who now we've established our brand, that we give good fights, we give value for money, and every time we come back, they'll support us. And I think if we come back in February and you've got Jessica fighting for a third belt, you've got Gennady Golovkin, you've got Sulecki, you've got a couple of other Polish guys, I think we'll sell the whole place out. Wow. Yeah. Atmosphere out there. There's only about 500 people left out there going crazy.
Real quick, any updates on Patrick Day?
He's been taken to hospital, obviously. Lou DiBella promotes both guys, and I've been in touch with Lou DiBella, who I feel like him and the family want to make their own statements, and I think they want a bit of privacy at the time. Obviously, it's the situation I don't think is great, but I don't have enough information to furnish you with, and I think that'll come from Lou DiBella. But obviously, from us at ringside, seeing him go to the ambulance, it's a horrendous situation, and such a nice man. Talking to him at the weigh, I've not really spoken to him before. Met him at a press conference for the first time. Had a really nice conversation with him. Such a lovely guy, and he tried. I think there was probably 30 seconds left in a round or something like that, the final round, and he was still trying to win the fight. And he was miles behind the fight, and he could have easily not tried to win the fight, but he got knocked out trying to win the fight. And it just shows you, what we talked about earlier. This is a very, very dangerous sport, and we hope that he can pull through, and all our thoughts and prayers are with him. So I'm going to leave it to Lou, for his fighters and the family, to give you the news that I actually in full don't have. I've seen some tweets and stuff like that, but I'm going to speak to Lou finishing the press conference. All right, guys. Well done, Jessica McCaskill.